everyone. I'm grateful to be joining you all up here and to have the opportunity to preach what's been going through my mind about this parable. As most of you know, I study environmental science at this lovely university. I, of course, am no expert, but if you want to talk about climate change, I got you. Some of you also know that I was a part of the St. Andrew's spring break trip to Appalachia last week. The trip was focused largely on environmental degradation present in the Appalachian region due to coal and iron mining. I won't delve too far into it since we'll be presenting on it next week, but I would like to share one particularly moving experience. Cheshire is a small town in southern Ohio with a population of about 450 people. In addition to these 450 people, this town also has two huge coal-fired power plants. These two plants have been operating in Cheshire for years, polluting the surrounding air and land. For years, Cheshire residents experienced these bizarre blue plumes, or clouds, that came from the power plants and basically engulfed their homes and their streets. They frequently complained of mouth sores, raspy throats, burning eyes, and grime everywhere. Then came the cases of cancer. The cancer rates in Cheshire, as well as the rest of Appalachia, were and are considerably higher than the national average. And while national cancer rates are declining, rates in rural Appalachia, including this small town, are increasing. So, people in Cheshire started to sue the power plants for these health problems. But then, here's the real kicker. The power plants bought out the whole town. The whole town. Residents were paid to move out of the area, and their silence was bought, so they couldn't sue the companies later on, even when the cancer continued to show up after they had moved away. The companies had calculated the costs and benefits and decided it was easier and cheaper to buy the whole town than it was to reduce some of their pollution. The company recognized that its pollution was not only hurting the environment, but also seriously killing people. And they chose to continue to do that to make a profit. We visited this town and one of the power plants during our trip. Standing there looking at this monstrosity of a power plant, it was overwhelming. I was on the brink of tears as I watched this facility continue to pollute the environment. I asked myself, how had we as a species gotten so lost? With the parable of the prodigal son, I had always viewed the story as this beautiful tale of forgiveness, the forgiveness of the father to his son. But suddenly, the focus shifted to the lost son, because this other truth was staring me in the face. The truth that we are the lost son. We, collectively, right now, are the lost son. In the parable, the son took his allotment of resources and squandered them. Truly, we as humans are taking much more than our allotment of resources from this earth, and we are indeed squandering them. We pollute the ground we walk on, not only here but across the world. We mine up coal and metals in ways that are not sustainable, and that leave our ecosystems broken for hundreds of years after. We are careless with our energy, our water, our materials. We cut down trees and rainforests to make room for our rapidly increasing population. We buy things and use them once and throw them away because that's more convenient for us. We make more waste than we know what to do with. We throw plastic and garbage in our oceans, which disrupts and kills aquatic ecosystems and organisms. We are already seeing the effects of climate change, but the people in power who really need to be addressing it rarely do. Our companies buy out whole towns because it's cheaper to pay millions of dollars to silence people than it is to clean up the pollution and save lives and the environment. We are lost, and we need to find our way home again. Much like the prodigal son, we are soon going to be left with little. We will be in dire need, and we will finally realize as a species that we messed up. We need to find our way back to nature, back to creation, and back to the balance and harmony where we don't have this big of an impact on the planet. Because truly, no other species harms the earth in the same significant and dangerous ways that we do. We need to recognize that our wasteful ways of living do not glorify God, do not glorify creation, do not allow us to love our neighbors, and cannot continue on this planet. We need societal changes, and we need cultural changes, and we need to start moving now. In the prodigal son story, the father welcomed the son back with open arms, a feast, and abundant joy. A truly beautiful example of forgiveness and reconciliation. Will the earth be that forgiving when we finally change our ways? That depends entirely on us. That depends on how long it takes our species to recognize and act on the grave harms we've been causing. In the words of the 14th Dalai Lama, the Tibetan Buddhist spiritual leader, we are the only species with the power to destroy the earth and also the capacity to protect it. With God guiding and leading us, we have the capacity to find our way back to a balanced relationship with creation. So my friends, let's go home. Amen.
Amen.